Sorry. Sorry about that. Didn't mean to cough. You hear a bunch of clicking in the background and doing stuff. Don't mind it. But I don't come on this very often. This is more just my little ranting and raving and having conversations with myself, figuring out things. Something I can go back and look on later. I'll make that clear. I'll try it. Well, I'll try my best to make that clear every single time, because it is something that I think needs to be addressed. As we grow up, as we grow older, as we get more educated, as we learn more things, our perspectives can change. So I remember at one time having a completely different perspective than what I currently have now. And I want to see where it changes. Somebody who works their butt off all the time, I can say it's a struggle with the things I have to deal with in life. But I still push forward, and I noticed that looking back and seeing some of the changes is really nice, because I can be like, oh, okay, I understand, what issues there are. I'm rambling on. It's okay. I might go into details with it later on, so people have a better understanding of why I'm rambling and what it actually means. But let me get started with this. So I had a conversation with my wife a while back, and she was applying for a job. Well, not applying for a job. She was talking about a job that opened up. I was like, oh, wow, you should apply for it. You have the experience now, or more experience and everything else. And she goes, what's the point? The last time I applied for a similar position, I was turned down. And it's like, yeah, but failure is a good thing. You learned from it. You learned what their perspective was. Yes, they hired on idiots, and they came back later on to say, hence why this position's now open again. The places do this. And she's had more experience with the higher ups. More people know her now, so she should apply. But we got into a deeper conversation about, student debt and her not using her degree for her job and the excuses that come with it. I had to do this and that, and, where's it getting me? Nowhere. And for a little bit of time, I could understand the arguments. But looking at it now in detail, and, giving it time, thought, and everything else, and things that I had to work through. I had a job, no joke. I went from one job to another, doing basically the same thing, and just in a different aspect. Instead of painting with the machine I moved by hand, this was painting on a machine that moved constantly, and you had to deal with traffic. I went from painting parking lots to painting highways. And they said, well, we can hire you on. I mean, the equipment and everything else are, I know how the guns work and whatnot. And that's great. But the problem is you have to have your CDL, because, something happens, we need somebody else on, so on and so forth. You have to do all these things. And if you can't do them, sorry, we'd rather hire on somebody that can. You have all this experience in painting already, and that's great. But we really need, this. And the job experience was, driving. Driving was a huge thing. Like, okay, so, I'll get that experience, and then we'll have a conversation. They're like, no, we'll hire you, but you have you have to get it within a month because that's when our season starts. So a month of prepping and everything else, and they gave me the time to learn the job. Anyways, I had to work my ass off for it. I wasn't given it. It wasn't a free ride. It wasn't you know, an easy way out. It was I had to work for it. I had to, put in all the labor and everything else. I remember going into work early, staying after, putting a lot of effort into everything I did. And that was my choice. I'm not saying anybody else or sorry. Trying to think of it the easiest way. Anybody could do it. I was a go-getter. That's what I went for. I took the bull by the horns. I didn't let anyone stop me. Well, my wife, over the years. Do I have to talk on the phone? Yes, you do. Oh, I don't want the job. Do I have to do this? Yes, you do. Oh, I don't want the job. And then come back bitching. I would have been great for that job. But the other things, and again, her complaints, you hear it over and over again by some people, and they just can't get over certain aspects of whatever it may be. And that's okay. But we started talking in detail about someone's coming in here to, oh, it's a little one. We started talking in detail about how she deserves, or I don't even want to really say it was her deserving, but that's how she came out, like the free education and, free Medicare and Medicaid, free, free, free. She pushed that out with work. I'm not going to get a job anyways. Why try? Why bother? And it's like, because, you get the experience and everything else. And sometimes people just don't know you. So, that doesn't help. Sad to say. I mean, I wish, we all could get the job instantly. You just apply, bam, there's the job, and you move on. That's not the case. You have to, interview, do all these things. And she's been turned down from several jobs, many jobs. Her degree, yeah, you're 24 years old and you got your master's. She worked her ass off for it. I know, I was there with her. And it's like, hey, I understand your struggles. I understand your issue. When you apply for one job after another and they say, well, you have no experience. That's where I think the problem comes in. People say, no experience. Oh, no. And they complain. Sorry, I'm telling her to leave. Go. No. You go get your tablet. You don't take that one. See? Well, go get yours. You know where yours is. She's trying to steal my tablet. The turd. I'm a stay-at-home dad. I'm disabled for life because of a drunk driver. So, we'll get that out there. Okay? The big difference is I don't live on disability. It does not pay. And the medical sucks ass. So we had to find other avenues because they don't cover you. America, yeah, no offense. Their systems are so crap because so many people, put their hands into the cookie jar, if you will. And a lot of people don't pay it back. So I'm thankfully able to do things from home that a lot of people are not. And then, of course, the wife working outside of it. And she doesn't have a great paying job. She's not, some CEO or whatever when I say masters. But anyways, so she struggles with trying to find work and a good job or upgrading her job. She works her ass off. She doesn't realize, she has to put herself out there. She has to be confident. She has to push, basically show her worth. And she has to deal with other people that have the experience. Person that has 10 years of experience, but you have the education and no experience. Well, no offense. And, we do it now, and she sees a lot of it when we do business. It's, hey, I'll take the person with the experience and the background behind it, the showed career, the time in, the work ethic, over her. No offense. Even she just started hiring, where she was the person actually doing the hiring for her position that she's currently in. And she'd never done that before. And some of the people that she thought, would be great, they're not so great, They can tell you all these great things and whatnot. They can, sugarcoat it, this, that, and the other. And they're shit. They're really bad employees. But yet, the people that didn't do a good job, like herself, could be really good employees. And it's like, that's the problem. So, a lot of these, not to say millennials, but younger folk, they get into a job, they don't work at it. They don't try. They expect. And that's not how it works. I didn't expect my job. I talked to the guy who's good friends with my dad, and we just got to talking about painting and whatnot, and their crew was opening up another position. I worked my ass off. People that had worked there longer, that were the lead painters, I passed them by. That when it came to new jobs, I was the one, on the main line. So, if that tells you anything. When it came to making sure that supplies were brought in, like when we were transporting all the gear, a lot of times I was on transport too. When it came to loading the truck and getting it prepped in the morning, I was the guy that did that as well. I could do everything. Like I said, I worked my ass off for it. And I earned every praise. People now, they don't. And like my wife, after having these conversations, and with the conversations, though, some of the things came up. Why didn't make the choice to, not be hired? Or, how did she put it? We were talking about how, me and her made the choice to have kids, to not be great with our finances, because we weren't at one point in time, and we're cleaning it up. The choices that we made kind of reflect on where we're at right now in life, living paycheck to paycheck. And she's like, well, I didn't choose that. And it's like, but you did. All the choices you made, it's not the government, well, my pay isn't going up, and I'm not getting these good jobs, and I have a decent education, and I. But what you neglect to remember is you made those choices. And when good choices come up, you don't take them. So, yeah, you made the bad choices, but a job opportunity, like there's one that came up right now. And her having several people at work saying, hey, you need to apply for this job, but I don't really want that job because I don't like a couple people, or I don't want to do this. And it's like, okay, so you're making the choice not to try for an opportunity. Well, no, that's not how that works. Yes, that's how that works. Unless it's a job like, let's say you're working at a peanut factory and you're allergic to peanuts, that's extremely unhealthy for you. Unless the job is extremely unhealthy for you, choosing not to try is you making a bad choice. You want to be a manager? Apply for the damn job. If you don't get it because you don't have the experience, they hopefully will tell you and give you the opportunity to gain the experience, especially if you're a good worker. You have to work for it. You hear these people, oh, these billionaires are bad people. Some of them are probably. I don't know of any that are because I don't know any. But I'm not just going to say billionaires are bad. Shit, I know millionaires, a few millionaires that are bad. But I personally, I've never met a billionaire. I've never met Donald Trump. But I do know a few millionaires that worked with my grandfather. That one of them sitting in prison. So, I can say for millionaires, I know a few. And people that don't make money, I know that have, gone away. So it's not exclusive to one group or another. They make that claim, but the problem is a lot of those people worked for it. They work for their money. And you're going to say, hey, I'm going to take this away. And sorry, I'm not going to talk in big words and deep thought on things. That's not how I function after a head injury. I lose track easily. So, trying to maintain stuff here, that's how I talk. And again, I can go back and say that's the point for these videos. These videos I can look back on later on, even when I start the rambling and see, oh, am I still doing that? No. Okay, cool. I wonder what changed, and, kind of reflect on it. But when you sit there and argue the point of the rich people are bad, or, I'm not given the opportunity. Okay, if you're not given the opportunity at the job, go find another job. Go push for the opportunities. The people that made billions, did they just sit back waiting for the opportunities to show up? That's the point. No, they did not. They went after the opportunities. They fought for the opportunities. Did I just sit back, disabled, not doing anything, ho-hum, I don't care? No. I got up off my ass and, looked at trying to do things. Do I want to do more? Hell yeah, who wouldn't? I can tell you what living on $900 a month was like. That sucked. I'm just saying for me, myself. At one time. And then having medical bills because, like I said, insurance. Then the argument, oh, well, everybody, should get free health care and free education, right? Yeah. Oh, and the wealthy will pay for it. Yeah, and when the wealthy start hiding their money and doing other things, when all that dries up, then who pays? Oh, well, we'll have to reevaluate it. I've heard that argument. It's like, in the end, who pays? And when they've already pulled enough from the wealthy, for the wealthy to be like, hey, stop, or else, then they pull from the middle class, or else being, well, we'll just take our money out of this, country, put it elsewhere. But we had before. We've done all these things. We've seen all the other places do it. That's the harsh reality. We just did it with other things. We didn't do it with healthcare. You tax somebody too much. But anyways, yes, our medical system's bad. But as sad as this may sound, our medical system was actually better than when Obama took it over. After Obama took it over, the cost for me skyrocketed. And the care that I received went to shit. I don't know about you, but when you can clearly see a huge difference, that's a problem. I got better care. I could go to physical therapy off my insurance. And now I can't because it's not covered. And yet, the insurance is supposedly the same. Oh, pre-existing conditions. Yeah. Okay. Republicans are against that, and Democrats are, you know, for keeping it. I don't care who at this point in time. It's bullshit. Because some of my issues, when I bring them back to light, I guess is the easiest way of saying it. You think they cover it? No. And I'm saying for mine, some of my injuries are paid for, are supposed to be paid for through legal actions that were taken. Yet they don't. And the insurance won't even acknowledge it. The insurance is supposed to cover it, except for certain parts. I cover those parts, send it out, get the money back. Nope. Not even in the slightest. I have to fight with them in court. And it's like, wow. So what's the point? Right? Yeah. Just thinking of this and the conversation I had with my wife, it brought up all that, like the arguments of younger folks. We're entitled to, we deserve. Okay, what about the people that paid out of pocket for all their education? What do they get out of the mix? Because they already paid. I'm sure they're really entitled to something because they worked their ass off. They tried. They conquered. They, progressed. They didn't need a handout. So what are you going to do to compensate them? Oh, nothing. Wow. Our country is divided because of Donald Trump. No, our country is divided because of stupidity. Not because of Donald Trump. It's because people think they're entitled to things they're not. Again, I had to work my ass off for stuff. And yeah, I can say I was pretty proud of it. Almost to the point of being arrogant. Was I the best? I was better than everyone else I worked with, and that's all that mattered. Did I deserve those pay raises and everything else? Did I deserve to be on that pedestal? Hell yeah, I did. Because I worked my ass off for it. But these people now, I deserve this because I'm a minority, or I'm a this, or I'm a that, or, I don't even know how to explain it with school. School should be free. Okay, who pays for the building? Well, taxes should pay for that. Okay, and the teachers? Things cost money. Private does come into play, and you should be able to give back. Yeah, but you spend $100,000 and you can't even get a job. Well, again, looking at my wife, that same issue. She applied for a job at the school she graduated from, and they said that they wouldn't even hire her because she didn't have the experience or the qualifications, and they left that job open for 2 months. And it's like, but she got the degree. It's things like that you see a lot of. And she was just not very good at interviews. That was her problem. She needs to work on it. So, even talking to her about it, hey, just apply for this job. Go in for the interview, if nothing else. You'll get something from it. You'll get the experience. You might find, oh, these are the types of questions that they're asking. Because she's very analytical. She's not very people-friendly. She's not mean or anything. She's not outgoing, outspoken. And she reads everything in black and white. There is no gray. She's the smartest idiot, as I like to call her. Love her to death. And she's extremely, extremely intelligent. She reads a book and she can recite it back to you, not word for word, but what it was, the characters' names, the story, who the author was, years later. So, and I think every year she reads like 100+ books, because she does other things too. And yet she's one of those people that just remembers things. It's really cool to see. At the same time, yes, it does get annoying. So, okay, you have the intelligence. You're just socially awkward in that regard. There's a case of people, but you're not entitled to anything. That's the point. You have to earn it. You have to work for it. Again, going back to her last job. Well, they said I don't have the experience, but yet, how am I supposed to get the experience? Well, they gave her the opportunity, like I said, with hiring. So she's, was a part of that and seeing the issues. Talking with her last night specifically about some of the issues with scheduling and how she screwed up. And she's supposed to have a conversation with the big boss because she always has a weekly one-on-one meeting. And she's like, yeah, he's most likely going to bring that up. And I said, what are you going to do? She's like, well, I don't know yet, fully, but I know I'm going to bring that up. What happened and stuff. And it's like, good. See, you're learning. When you make a mistake or when you do something wrong, you need to bring that to light. And then positives for how you're going to change things so that it doesn't keep happening, so on and so forth. The proactive approach, not the, what would you call it, bullying? Oh, they're just getting angry at me. I've heard her say that. And it's like, are they getting angry at you, or did you actually do something wrong? If you screw up, if you screwed up, own up to it. Teaching people. I don't know if you're learning it in school or you're getting it from some idiot that just doesn't want to do anything with their life or what. But you don't deserve anything. You have to earn it all. Did I deserve the drunk driver to hit me? Did I deserve him ruining my life? Oh, wait. He didn't ruin my life. Because I'm still alive and I'm still going. He just made it more difficult. And that's what took me the longest time to learn. He didn't ruin me. It's kind of like, this person's saying stuff and it hurts me. No, he's saying stuff, you don't like it, you're bothered by the fact that it's not something that you agree with. You're making yourself, it just sounds weird to me. Don't know why. You're getting offended at something that you really shouldn't be getting offended at. Oh my God, I'm being critiqued by this person in a very unflattering way. Okay. So the person's rude to you, or you feel that they're rude to you. Or maybe they said something that you don't agree with because you grew up, my father-in-law, when I used the word pissed, he grew up with that as a swear word. I didn't. And a lot of other people didn't. And that was a conversation I had with him. Were we offended at by each other? No. It was really neat to see. It's like, wow. Okay. I learned something new about you at the same time. I had a conversation and move forward from it instead of now we hate each other's guts. And he's a complete opposite of me. He's somebody I would not ever hang around, would not deal with. I'm not going to be his pal, buddy, friend. Just naturally. Good guy, though. Very calm individual. Very quiet. Versus his wife. Whew. My mother-in-law, she's the hammer and the nail. If you catch my drift. She Yeah. But they, yeah, help each other out. And having conversations, learning different things. And I'm saying it in the perspective of, it hasn't been that long since, I've had, sorry, the little one came back in here. Well, the older one. It hasn't been that long since I had brain surgery. And, we're talking 5, 6 years. I think it's been 10 years. Wow. It's been 10 years now. And communication is still a difficulty for me, but it's not going to stop me. And I'm just going to keep screwing up. Hell, I screw up with my kids every single day of the week, trying to say one thing after another. But I still push forward, and I try and instill in them, you don't deserve this. You earn it. You work for it. And just like having the conversations and seeing the difference in people, not being irritated, not, oh my God, I'm offended by, you, or that's hate speech, or, whatever else. Good example. See, I'll ramble on about everything under the sun. Transgenders. Have no issue with them. Don't even care. LGBTQ, any spectrum of it, whatever the case may be, great. One of our friends came over, was like, yeah, I just got fired from my job. And it's like, oh, that sucks, we're sympathetic to her. Like, oh, crap, what's going to happen? She's getting ready to go through a divorce, everything else. And she was like, well, this person was waiting for me to, say something that they just didn't like, and then they'd get me fired. Well, I was talking with my other gay friends, and, on our break, and we were talking about, our sexual experiences and stuff, and they went straight to HR over it. And it's like, okay. And that's wrong, how? Well, that's none of their business. And it's like, okay, well, you're saying it out loud, for one. You're at work, for two. You're on break, so you're not off the clock, right? Because you get paid at break, Well, and it's like, there's no wells about it. You don't need to talk about that kind of stuff at work, especially in an area where you have a diversity of people, and there are some people that just don't want to hear that. No offense to them, I'm one of those types of people. I don't need to know about your sexual life. I don't need to know about your sexual experiences. I don't give two shits. Does that mean I hate lesbians? I hate gays? I hate transgenders? No, not at all. I don't care what your sexual preference is. I don't need to know it. We had, and I say had, a transgender friend. We didn't even know that they were transgender. Like, no joke. You looked at them, you talked to them, you'd never know until they told us. Well, we told them right away, out of my perspective, and again, we're talking about me having a head injury and how I function. I was like, well, I know you as this name. So if you go and change your name or do anything, don't take offense. This is the name I know you as. This is how I'm going to treat you. If you decide to change back, whatever the case may be, because that's how I met you. That's how I will remember you. And they're like, not a problem. It's no disrespect. Kind of like, oh, you need to use my pronouns. Whatever you, are when we first meet. However that is, shown, that's how I will treat you. No other way. And if you throw it in my face telling me I have to, I don't have to shit. That's the point. You don't deserve anything. You're not better than anyone else. I don't care if you're black, white, Jewish, I really don't give a shit. It's like the idea of, reparations for black people. I've never met a slave. I'd love to meet one, but me personally, I've never met one. I've never owned one. I know my family hasn't owned one, and we're white. Hell, when my, what was it, great grandfather, I forget who it was, came here through the lineage, since we're Scottish, yeah, what do you think they were? They did slave labor, and slavery wasn't just dictated to a color. It was a class of people. It was, you don't have the money. Well, it's one way of, I guess, surviving. Or if you owed debt, then you got put into slavery. Yeah. That whole perspective, it's like, let's grow up. Let's grow past it. Come on. It's 2020. Grow up. Figure out better ways of dealing with things. Every other country has, free health care. And it's like, it's not free though. Come on, let's use some common sense. I agree we need to make healthcare so much better. But, free. Oh, well, I'm in debt because of all these school loans, and I can't even find a job remotely in the realm that would, make it so I can make the payment every single month. Okay, well, that was your choice. That wasn't the people giving out the education, or that wasn't your professor. That wasn't the college. That wasn't, anyone else but you. You wanted to go for that degree. No, that's not how that works. And it's like, but it is. You made the choice. I have no time. I'm always busy. Okay, why? Well, because I have my kids, and I have my husband, I have my animals, and I have work. I don't have time to, go off and do these other things to progress my life. Okay, well, that's a choice you're making. That's not anybody else's. Well, they owe me. No, they don't. I mean, however many ways you can put the perspective, nobody owes you shit. You made that choice. That's why they say, go to college, don't have kids, establish your, your job, do all these things. Then you can get married, then you can have kids. Later on, you'll be more successful. There's a point to it because you have more time to take care of the other things. Make sure your finances, work on your finances. Start when you're young. Figure out what a checkbook is. I know we don't really use checkbooks anymore, but, do that kind of stuff. If you're in the stocks, you don't just by happenstance usually get into them. Those select few people that do, great, more power to them. I'm happy you're really good with numbers, but not everybody's that way. Oh, person just won the lottery. Woohoo! That's not everybody. All these other people in my class just graduated and they got jobs. Yeah, and they probably pushed for it. The ones that didn't, they're not going to go anywhere. Well, I'm looking for work, okay? You're looking for work, or you're just picking through and grasping at whatever, comes your way that is, I don't even know how to explain this one, where it's like you're being extremely nitpicky and you're actually ruining yourself because you don't have anything established. The people that do that, where they like leave one job and they're unemployed for a year, 2 years, and they nitpick their way through. I met a few of them. Won't go into details. It's kind of different, but I knew one where he was out of work for 5 years, but he had so much saved, and his background experience basically allowed him to be extremely nitpicky on everything. And yeah, that's the way he was. He didn't have to financially worry at all because he, had a bank account full of money, and or if this ever happened. And he was in his mid 40s, if I remember correctly. He might have been in his 50s when this happened. And, it's not even 10 years later after he did get a job, and he's retired now. And it's like, well, you could have taken all that money that you wasted, but his house is paid for, his vehicles were paid for. Everything was taken care of. He was financially stable. He made that choice. Everybody makes a choice. That's the point. You don't deserve anything. It's, do I deserve retribution for the drunk driver? I want retribution. I'd love to see that son of a bitch hang. Because the stuff I have to deal with for the rest of my life, and no offense, being an illegal immigrant as well, I take no offense to any of my neighbors. One of them I know is illegal only because he told me, and I was like, you don't have to tell me this. I don't care, man. And he was illegal because of lapse in his green card. I'm like, oh, that sucks. He's like, yeah, I've been working at this for a while. And it's like, well, best of luck. He spoke English perfectly fine. He's working his ass off, but dealing with the systems. Do I have anything against him? Nope. Is it every illegal's fault? Nope. Is it every legal's fault? Nope. I was in the wrong place at the wrong time. And I say that because I knew damn well not to go down the road I went at the time that I went, because, it was close to the time bars closing, and late at night, I was heading off to work. Because I worked nights. Early morning, just depending on, the workload. And yeah, the one time, and going by bars, I got nailed. I got nailed good. So, do they owe me anything? In the end, not really. You have insurance. You hope to God. I hope he pays for the crime. I know he didn't in the end. But does he really owe me anything? Not really. And I'm just saying that as coming to terms with it later on in life. When it first happened and whatnot, after all of it was said and done, I was pissed. I'm, still irritated at the guy himself, the insurance company, and the bullshit that they pulled. But it happens. And I say that because later on, at one point in time in my life, poor girl, I feel so sorry for her. We had a 16-year-old that fell asleep at the wheel, and of course, rear ends us. And she fell asleep, put her foot on the gas, and I think they said she was doing 45. She was actually injured. We weren't, because our trunk was full of stuff at the time. Lucky us. And yeah, I had a little bit of whiplash and whatnot, but it wasn't really that bad. Just little, yeah. She worked her ass off. She was going to school, doing all these things all over the place. Straight A student. Getting ready for finals. Because then she was going to graduate, and that dictated on college, if I remember correctly. Well, she could have caused just as much damage as that drunk driver. Does she owe me something? No. I hope she's doing all right. Things happen. A drunk driver can choose not to make those things happen as easily. But wrecks happen. Her not using up all of her energy and pushing herself, yeah, she could go and figure that out. But that's, a life experience. Point is, if you want something in life, you have to earn it. You have to work for it. You have to work hard at it. You don't just have it handed to you on a silver platter. Nothing I got was handed to me on a silver platter. Well, I'll make this point. I take care of my vehicles. I make sure the oil's changed, everything else. I had to buy my first car. It didn't cost very much. I will admit that, because my very first car was one of the cars my sister wrecked. She didn't take care of it, and rather than have the issue of trying to figure out where to, take it and whatnot, I was told, you pay to have this fixed, you can have it. Cool. Cheap form of transportation. I drove it for 4 years, and it cost me, other than gas and oil changes, it was like $200 for 4 years. I mean, the thing ran, and when I sold it to somebody, it was still running. So, I think that was a good deal. I'm happy with the outcome of it, at least. But anyways, she was given a vehicle, and then given another vehicle, and then given another vehicle. Well, to this day, you look at her vehicles, and you can see what happens when you just give people stuff. And the entitlement. I love my sister, but you see the entitlement. And every single time we go over there, and her family, her kids, everything else, it, just screams at you. I'm entitled. You owe me this. And it's to the point where I don't even go and visit her anymore. It doesn't mean I don't love her. And, then at the same time, myself, the arrogance side, when it really kicks in, because I worked my ass off for it. It wasn't just handed to me. Every single time I go out and do a job, I try and put all my effort into it. When I take care of my vehicles, it's so they keep running. Yeah, I would think that this stuff is common sense, but apparently common sense isn't so common anymore. And you hear that term all the time. It's mind-blowing how many people, and even my wife, the one thing I should have said, though, so the context is actually there, we're several years apart. I mean, several. So, I got 10 years on her. Did I put that in? Sorry, I'm trying to do something. Come on. Yes, okay. So you'll hear clicking on the outside. We're 10 years apart from each other, so it's not to say much. And she has extremely good work ethic. Holy shit. There have been a few times where she's gotten to work early and stayed very, very late. And done a good job fixing problems, whatnot, for the work that she does. So she's not a slacker. She's just not motivated. And that's what I see with a lot of people. They're just not motivated. They think, okay, well, I just did my part. Now you owe me. Fuck, people. Come on, get off your ass. And more so, because some of her friends, they're the not motivated and you owe me, period. But they go out of their way to cheat the system. I kid you not. Oh, well, we can't do this right now because then we'll lose our food stamps. It's like, holy shit. So you don't want to progress your job because you'll get taken off of food stamps. Holy shit. Yeah, I had to turn down a pay raise because then it would kick me off food stamps, and then it wouldn't work out. And it's like, wow, I didn't know that that was an actual reason for, not taking a job. I would have thought taking a job was a good thing. We can go on and on with scenarios of things and what I see. It always comes back to the same thing. Pull your heads out of your ass. You do not deserve anything. Work for it. You don't get free medical. You don't need free medical. You don't deserve free medical. Unless it's like a retirement plan. You work at a job for 30, 40 years. They give you 100% medical. If those still exist, I know from my grandparents, that's how their medical is paid for. But guess what? We can get right back to it. In the end, they actually still have to pay. Just like with my medical. You pay up front, then you send the bill to your insurance, and they pay you back. And they're supposed to. But they don't do it right away. Yet you're required to. Nothing is free. It costs in some way. And for them to take that program, I know from my grandparents, they lost a little bit in the package for the supplements. So, they chose one package versus another one. And I can say this because one grandparent, both of them worked at the same place and retired at the same time. And one went one route, one went the other. And for the one that had all the health on theirs, their money out package was a little less. Not by much, but, it was enough to make it so they weren't able to do the same things. They had to have a part-time job for a little bit while everything kicked in. Then once it all kicked in, then they were good, where the other grandparents were actually able to retire fully. But they didn't. They turned around and invested it into a business and went from there. So, it's, yeah. Nothing is ever free. People that get with the VA. They gotta be in the military to get that. You gotta fight. You gotta, deal with heavy politics. And that's not free. Education. You gotta, take time away from working and sleeping and hanging out with friends to get an education. That costs you time. Hopefully the money that you invest is basically a way of saying, hey, I'm putting this into me and I'm expecting, this kind of an outcome that I worked for. Not that somebody gave you, because, somebody paid for your education. Oh, well, this class is just boring. I'm just going to, not show up. Oh, wow. So somebody paid for you just to not give a shit? Things like that. I can go back to my sister. Well, I need a car because, I have a baby and I'm only 16. Okay, well, whose fault was that? That was not my fault. That's your fault. Yes, we'll give you a vehicle so you can drive your daughter to and from, her appointments and whatnot, but it's like, you don't want to leave the kid hanging because it's not the kid's fault. It's the mom's fault for making the bad choices, but at the same time, that's what we've turned in. That's what society's turned into. I can keep going back over it and over it and over it. Where my dad likes to call it, we're reactive. Or we're reactionary instead of fixing the problems. We only react to them when they happen. When something new comes in, we just put a Band-Aid over it and then call it good. And then when it comes back, usually worse, then we just put another Band-Aid over it. And another Band-Aid. And another Band-Aid. You know, we don't actually fix any of the problems. We don't even try. You know, just like well, I want this, I want that. A good example is speech. You know, you can't use that word. That is a bad, hateful word. Okay, just because you don't like it. You know, how many black people run around saying the N-word all the time? And they say it to each other. It's a derogatory term. It's a derogatory word. Yet they're allowed to say it. Well, because they have, you know, whatever bullshit excuse to basically call each other derogatory terms. Kind of stupid. Whatever. I really don't care. What I care about is when somebody says, you know, oh, you can't cuss, but I can. Or, you know, you can't say these words because you're not part of this group. And you should be banned, or you should be punished, or, you know, we are going to restrict you because we don't like you, but we can say whatever we want. Like, what the hell? The stupidity. How did we get to that? How do we, you know, deal with these issues of people going in and making problems and nobody fixing it, and now we're ending up, like I said, in a society like that where, you know, we literally have people that you can't argue with because, you know, you're just bad in every way, and you can't say this or you can't say that because that offends me, and, you know, you should be punished, but I can say those words. It doesn't work. We need to stop with all of this, whatever the hell you would call it. Stop putting band-aids on things. Actually start fixing the problems. Like with freedom of speech. Remember? You want your free Medicaid, your free Medicare? It's free. Yeah, free speech. Yeah, ain't so free, is it, motherfucker? Because there's always some asshole out there, some pussy that gets offended by something you said because they don't have thick enough skin, their balls never dropped, their IQ is no higher than their toenail length. No, sorry. But it's kind of stupid when, you know, you want these free things, you talk about equality and everything else, and then you make remarks like, well, you can't say that. Okay? I can say whatever the fuck I want. It's a free country. Aha! Well, I'll get you banned on Twitter. I'll get you demonetized on YouTube. I'll do this. I'll do that. It's like, Jesus Christ. You know, you entitled little prick. You know, my mommy's a janitor, so I'm a minority. Holy shit. You know, I'm so proud of you. You know, I'm not saying anything bad about janitors. Shit. You know, want to be a janitor? Go be a janitor. If you don't expect anything more than, you know, doing jobs like that, okay, that's your call. But, you know, like these people, you know, I have nothing and I chose to be this way because I'm not, you know, trying to progress any higher. So I'm entitled to stuff. You know, like I said, all this comes back. We need to figure out a way to get people to actually pull their heads out of their ass and stop trying to fight for air. Because that shit stinks. I rambled on enough. let's see where this is in a few years. See what changes there were in my thought process. You know, I'm sure it will change progressively to being more clear, but I don't think it will change in the other ways because I grew up, with those morals, those values, those. You have to, you earn. Oh, shit. Sorry, trying to make sure I say it correctly. You get what you work for, and even if it's not quite what you wanted, you chose it because that's what you got. I really want this. Damn, fuck! I don't know how to. Head injury's kicking in. I'm talking too long. I'm gonna start forgetting things. Usually, how it goes. Son of a bitch. I'm thinking of the term "you get what you pay for," but I forget what it is for when you work hard at something. And if you choose to take the lesser of it, you chose that. I hope that makes sense. And I'm sure somebody will, in some fashion, some way, be like, yeah, this? Okay, yes. It's right on the tip of my tongue and I can't remember it. Funny story before I actually go. So, this is one thing I deal with daily. We're trying to say something and, you're good with your words, you know exactly what you're saying, everything else. It's actually a really good day. You're not missing things. You're able to keep the sentence structure together. Yay! You feel good about yourself. And then it starts coming in where the words just disappear. And you could have said it 5 minutes earlier, and now that word's gone. Well, I was having a conversation with the wife, and we were talking about clothes, and I'm like, yeah, I might. And I wanted to say sweatpants. And I couldn't remember for the life of me. And so I'm like, yeah, stretchy thins. And she's just, laughing internally, like, what the hell? She knew exactly what I was saying. We've obviously been together for, many years. So she understands when it starts to kick in. But it's things like that even though there is a struggle, and sometimes it is very difficult, and you feel like you just took 10 steps back, there's those bright little moments that, make it feel like you just took 10 steps forward as well. Or you at least had a good story to tell. I don't know if my stretchy thins is a good story to tell, but god damn it, I like wearing my stretchy thins, and that's what we call them now. Even when I do remember them being as sweatpants. I was going to say sweater, see? It's, no different than the wife when she's like, yep, every single time he calls me the wife, and I'm doing it on here because I don't want to say her name right now. She's like, when we're with friends, oh, he used the wife. Well, what does that mean? He forgot my name. It's like, yeah, damn it. Or a random name for my girls because I forgot their names. You can have some real fun with this. Just walk up to them, forget their name and treat them like they're a stranger and be like, hey, so you want to come home with me, stranger? Yeah, it's fun. Same time, it is bothersome. But, I work at it every day to get better. And everything that happened in my life, I've earned it. That's positive. I don't think I want to earn the drunk driver. Or the surgeries. Well, some of the surgeries I earned. You gonna go sledding down that hill? Yep. Have fun, dumbass. Anyways. Peace.